The next viewer had a question. Um, so he read your book and he's saying, I'd like for you to expound on why you believe, and then he puts in quotes, I believe, from what you wrote in your book, I
Hmm.
believe it is time for us to realize that racism, environmental harm, and our systems of governance can be inevitably be linked by one thing: white supremacy. So it pretty much like, can you like expound on it and
In it.
kind of explain,
Yeah.
context?
Yeah. Well, like we were just saying, I mean, these things are all so interrelated from environmental harm to mass incarceration and I think also maybe I'll just like define based on the dictionary what white supremacy is because we're all coming from different places with different backgrounds and contexts. So white supremacy is the belief that white people are a superior race and should dominate society. That's the dictionary definition.
Mhm.
To me, like if you look around our society, you see that it's not just a belief, it's also kind of a reality that in America, non Latinx white people make up 60% of the population, but they're 92.6% of all Fortune 500 CEOs. They're 80% of all nonprofit directors, 88% of all senior foreign service members in government. So whether you're in a nonprofit or in business or in government, all of the leadership of these sectors is primarily white people, and they're overrepresented according to their race than in the nation. And at the same time, we see that Black and Latinx and Indigenous people, Polynesians and Asian people are overrepresented in police shootings and imprisonment. I won't say Asian people, I'll say Polynesians definitely in Alaska are overrepresented in police shootings and imprisonment. And we're also the ones that are living with the worst like environmental outcomes. There's a lot of pollution in inner cities, for example, that affects Black people, or in North Carolina, where I was living in rural regions, like rural Black communities, they have hog farms with just like literal open cesspools of like hog waste because um uh and also in Alaska we have over 3,000 people who just don't have running water, and that's primarily in indigenous communities. There's just this large wealth gap for people of color versus white people in the United States, and that's because there's never been any kind of economic redress for the stolen land and labor that has been taken over time. And really, we haven't acknowledged that that's happened either, because they don't really teach about it in schools. So, so I believe that all of these things are not because like people of color are worse than or less smart than or less capable than white people to like achieve these leadership positions, but because we're just not adequately represented in leadership. And because of that, we don't inherit the opportunities or the financial support to get education, to be in business or in policy and improve our own situations. So um, that's how I would say they're all connected, is really just by the reality that the vast majority of our leadership is white people.
Okay, so would you